Well, hey, and welcome to the Becoming Better podcast. My name's Nate, and I'm so glad you're here. On today's episode, Jason, Josh, and I sit down and we discuss last Sunday's message. If you haven't listened to last Sunday's message, I want to encourage you to stop here and give that a listen, as that will help make this conversation make more sense to you. Well, on this episode, we also answer a few of your questions, and would love to get more questions as we dive into this series of Luke. You can do that by going to quadcity.church/podcast and submit your questions there. We also talk about a couple good books that you could get, and we'll add those to the show notes at the bottom. Well, without further ado, we hope you enjoy this conversation. How's it going, guys?
Happy Monday, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
It's bright out. It's a good day.
Oh, it's glorious.
Yeah.
Sun shining.
No.
Beautiful.
Hey, so I went to Chase, and at my apartment complex, we do quarters for our laundry. And there's a sign. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but we've killed the penny.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed.
So,
Yeah, because fries. I believe I went there, and it was supposed to be, I don't know what it is, and it was rounded up to a to a 5 or a 10. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, no more pennies.
So no more pennies. So it had me thinking, in my lifetime, cursive is now dead, and now pennies.
But
So,
is cursive dead?
you kind of see it. Cursive, I started thinking about it.
Dead. Nobody's learning it in school.
On our baptismal
Yeah,
wall,
they do.
there's a bunch of cursive.
Sounds
Well,
names.
those are signatures. That's not.
Yeah.
That's different.
I guess, yeah.
So that's what I was saying, though. They still teach it in school. Silas was learning right now.
Really?
So
Oh, is he?
he's Third grade. Third grade.
Hmm.
Third grade. And he's like, yeah, I start cursive this semester. You still have to learn how to sign your name. Can't print.
Yeah.
You still got to do something.
But everything's turning digital.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But you still, even on your phone, there's opportunities to sign digitally. You sign in cursive. You can't just print JOSH.
I'm telling you, my son does not know how to sign his name in cursive. My son
Wait,
who
which
has
one?
graduated
Okay.
cannot. No.
You have to have a signature because you have to sign your driver's license. You do. You can't just write JOSH and print. What when it says
As long
print?
as it's yours,
and
you can
signature.
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because
Because even on
so
my,
much more work though. Like my cursive signature is fast.
yeah,
Shoop, done.
but is it legit?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, mine is to me like you
Yeah.
can tell it's a J, a G, and 2 T's. Like the in between, I don't know, but it's been my signature I've had for such a long time that it is the same one. If you look probably at driver's license for a while, that it'd be like, oh yeah, Josh really signed this.
Yeah.
And it's also mine and unique, like the one that I signed for my kids. There's no way they're like forging my signature because I would know, like, nah, man, this is that. No, that's not even close. So
Back to the penny, though.
Yeah.
So we've gotten rid of the penny for sure because
no, we're just not making.
We're not
them,
making
right?
them. Yeah.
no,
So
you're not using them. You can't.
You can use
You
them.
can still
I
You're
use
not getting
them.
them back in change.
No, but you can use them.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. You can still pay.
They're
in a
trying to
penny.
get them out of circulation.
Correct.
Which
Which has got my boomer mother thinking they're going to be great value, and she's hoarding pennies right now. We're in the truck the other day, and you know how you got your change pile
Yep.
in your vehicle, right? And she pulls out all the pennies and trades them for dimes. And so if she said, I will be grateful. She listens to the podcast.
Yep.
She says, I will be grateful one day when she's dead and there's a 5-gallon bucket of pennies.
It's like $2 bills. They're just worth $2.
Yeah. Yep.
They're just worth $2. I know people have held on to them forever. They're just worth $2.
I told her,
right?
If you go back to the copper pennies, they are worth
They are.
something.
Yep.
Because
But
copper
the
is
one
worth-
for the last 20 years, they've been making them mostly of zinc.
Mm-hmm.
And so those aren't worth anything.
Bro, somebody was telling me who also listens to the podcast about the price of silver lately
It's
it
going up.
closed
Skyrocketing, yeah.
and so all them silver dollars you got. So my grandma had one that used to be the clock silver dollar. Probably other people had it too. It was like, all the coins in it were silver dollars, like a $50, quarters. Everything was silver, right? Well, I guess my mom and aunt at one point needed money, so they exchanged it all and put just normal money in there and like sold the silver. So like grandma still like had it up.
$75 an ounce was last time I saw it, something like that.
Nuts.
So yeah.
So, but anyways, I always think when I think of silver coins and stuff, that's my first thought is how my parents in their teenage years, my mom and my aunt, they hoodwinked their parents and changed it all out of their clock. And I'm like, that's just something I would probably do. That all of us in this room would probably have thought about doing.
For sure.
And they could have, because they had to be reminded, to your point this weekend, that they even had kids. So yeah. Do you know where your kids are?
I tried finding the video. They were just all like in news articles, and I was gonna cut it, but the quality of the video was just so grainy.
Come on, it was the 80s. What are you gonna do?
So I was like, man. But I kept hearing.
But honestly, if you would have posted that even showing the video quality, people would have been like, yeah, that was good.
That was good.
Yeah. that was high quality, probably too. Yeah. 4 channels.
Yep.
Now, for those of you who are unaware, so Nate obviously puts together all of our slides, and he came into my office. I texted him and said, hey, let's talk through the sermon stuff. And he came in. I said, hey, I want to throw this up. Did you know about this, Nate? And Nate was like, nope. Did not know that was a thing.
Nope.
10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? And we did. We pulled up a video of it, of actually the PSA that they would show. And we tried to get there, but
it was the days of the milk carton, like missing kids. It was a big deal. Like I legitimately thought that I could be stolen at any time. Like there was way more of a fear for a generation that was out a lot. Yeah, there was a pretty big fear of that you could be snatched. Well, like that fear, they don't talk about that anymore. There's not a lot of the.
Oh, it's because of helicopter parents. But
again, it was like a milk carton and a friend on there, but it didn't lessen your parents' like. It may have just emboldened them to see if it would really happen. I don't know, because it was like, get out of the house and don't come back.
Yeah.
If you come back, you actually will get in trouble. I'm going to give you a spanking. And so if you come home early, I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, man, there's a lot of warnings, though, about kids who just disappeared.
And people worry, and they look back on with nostalgia back to those days. Crime was way worse in the 70s and 80s. It was so bad. You go look at the FBI statistics. It was a lot. That was the heyday of serial killers and kidnappings, like all of that stuff. And we look back, what are you gonna do?
Again, just is not a thing as much anymore, right? And we're more, to your point, we're more as parents,
and we're more anxious than ever.
More anxious than ever. And then it was like, just go ride to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I was telling Jude that the other day. I was like, yeah, man, I just got on my bike and went to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And it probably wasn't that far, but it felt far.
Yeah.
Like it was like, yeah.
I used to ride all over town. I lived about 4 miles from town, and I would ride my bike to town, me and my buddy. And
I grew up in Chandler when it was the first suburb, really.
I was going to say, being out in Chandler where there's nothing out there.
But it was like the first, like we lived there. So, probably late 80s, 89 to 95.
Okay.
So it was booming then, right?
Yeah.
Kind of growing. But yeah, riding 69 cents. It was like a bean burrito at Taco Bell. You scrounging up change. That was a lot of money. It felt like a lot of money.
Pulling $50 out of the clock to go get you up.
Oh, for sure. No, I sold Kool-Aid and sugar packets and make them in little baggies and sell them on the playground. I had so much trouble, bro.
It's like foreshadowing.
I was going to say, you missed out on an opportunity. Now we have this emergency right here just in those packets.
Dude, it was literally Kool-Aid packet and sugar, and we'd sell our own like fun dip.
Third graders snorting it in the bathroom.
It's our own pixie stick, bro. Yep. I got serious trouble. I mean, I remember like, I'm just trying to make a little money, but I'm just making Kool-Aid packets.
Yeah,
kids all hopped up on sugar all day. Yeah, that's what we were doing, bro. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Me and my 2 Hispanic friends, Jay and Jason Hernandez. They were twins.
Jay and Jason, okay.
Jay and Jason Hernandez. That's probably just their name that I knew.
Right.
Yep.
Hispanic names,
Yeah.
you don't get a real name.
Yeah.
It's till you get your nickname.
Mhm.
That's
But
what-
anyway, they were my best. There was some of my best friends, and they were twins. And so, yeah. But that's growing up. That's what we did. We sold Kool-Aid packets.
Yeah.
That's how I had to make sure I could get my bean burrito, man.
Yep.
What are you doing?
So talking about nicknames, that reminds me. There's this video of this Hispanic lady. So in the Hispanic culture, nicknames is a huge thing,
Mhm.
and they're pretty brutal. Which I never thought about it until this lady in the video. She's talking about how like if Hispanic nicknames were in English, and she's like, "Oh hey, big nose, like how are you? Oh hey, ugly, so happy you're here." And I was thinking about it, and I was like, man. These nicknames are brutal. And they would like out of love in the Hispanic culture, like they would call you ugly. And that would be your nickname.
What is ugly in Spanish?
Fea. So like ugly girl would be fea. And like your grandmother would just be like, "Oh, fea, ¿cómo está?" Which is, "Oh, ugly girl, how are you?" And and it just had me thinking like, man, and there's like Chino. So like that was my nickname at camp because we're in the Dominican and all the kids thought I was Chinese. So they would call me Chino. So that's another one.
Chinese?
Yeah, Chinese. So it's just so funny like thinking about nicknames and how
Yeah.
like in the English language, like that would be so like how dare you call him Chino? So it's
Hey, ugly girl.
yeah. Hey, ugly girl. Yeah.
It's your grandma.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
your abuela.
Yeah.
Just calling
Just
you
calling
horrible
you- yeah.
things.
But out of love. It's
Out of
like,
love.
oh,
Out
okay.
of love. Hey, hey, big nose.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
how's the air smelling today?
Yep. Exactly. So
It's couched in really nice sounding language.
Yep,
though.
yep.
Oh,
So,
goodness.
that she
gracious.
loved you. So
She did. That's how you knew she loved you.
yeah. So and then my grandma would call me Polar Bear because I'm the lightest.
You're the
skin.
white kid.
I'm the whitest grandson that she has. All of my other cousins and all of them are just so dark. So
I always have a big around whatever
Yeah.
my nickname was. Hey, big boy, or something.
Yeah.
Like old people still do it,
Mhm.
like because they kind of grew up in the generation that they just said things you weren't supposed to.
Yep.
Like there's still words that they use. We have a guy on staff. I'm not going to throw him under, mention no name. He still says some words that you're like, you can't say that
You
anymore.
can't say that.
It's 2025. You're not allowed to use those words. Not you, Jason.
Oh,
No,
I'm like,
no.
You
are we
no.
talking about me?
No,
What are we doing?
No, it's the other older gentleman who works in the Prescott Valley office.
Oh.
He says words. I'm like, you can't say that. I just don't
Yep.
think you're allowed to,
Yeah.
actually.
He's from Jersey, though. I don't think he even knows. I don't think he knows.
But they're, again, boomers talking about, they just like, it's a little hurtful.
Yeah.
It is, man. It's
Yeah.
a little, I take it. It's fine, but it's a little hurtful, guys. It is. I understand it's the culture you grew up
Yeah.
in. I know I need to toughen up and rub some dirt on it. But man, jeez. No, but it is always, whatever it was big. And
Mhm. Yep.
the remainder of the nickname, it was whatever. But
Yeah.
it was big. Big was the first adjective used, which is not even like, at least, go like the oxymoron, go like tiny.
Yeah.
Like, let's go, that route.
Yep.
Just
Nope.
big jaws, big whatever, big dirty, all the things. So
Yep. So
that's how I knew they were talking to me.
Nobody ever called me big.
No, I'm sure you didn't get that, Jay.
No, I did not.
Jason's nickname, so funny. I know Jason's nickname from our student pastor growing up was Gonzo.
No,
No,
Gomer.
Gomer. I'm sorry, Gomer.
Gomer.
Yeah, Gomer. Yeah,
Gomer Pyle.
yeah.
Do you know Gomer Pyle?
Yeah.
All of our
No.
boomers will know who Gomer Pyle is.
So that was,
He was
yeah.
on the Andy Griffith show,
Yeah.
and he was the lovingly dorky.
No.
You know the R word that's come back?
Yes, the one we're not allowed to say.
That would be kind of his. That's kind of Gomer Pyle-ish.
Which again, offensive.
Offensive. Yeah, there you
It's
go.
super offensive. Just mean. Just boomers just tried to hurt you.
They did.
It made you tougher though.
he had his own show.
Yeah, for about 15 minutes. Yeah, he
Okay.
had his own spinoff there for
Okay.
a little while.
Yeah.
Gomer Pyle. He was the local mechanic, wore a little hat with pointies around the edges that
Mhm.
kind of looked like a dunce hat. I think that's kind of the look they were going for. So that was me.
All right.
Boom.
Yeah.
Welcome to it, baby.
Yep. All right, let's jump in. This last Sunday, we were wrapping up chapter 2 in Luke. And I thought, great morning, great time. We kicked off with a new song, which I think was just very impactful. And then jumping into the message, what stuck out to me was just the 3 points of Jason's message of, the first one was
Faith with consistency.
Practice.
Yep.
Faith with consistency.
And then the second one was
Practice faith
In
in
community.
in community. And then the
then
last one
last
was
one.
With your children.
Yeah. And the first one really stuck out to me. Just thinking through Mary and Joseph walking to Jerusalem. And I just, Jason made a great point of explaining, from the Prescott campus, going over the hill and down to the 303 around Lake Pleasant. I confidently sat in that and said, I don't think I'd do that.
Every year.
Yeah, every year to block out, 2 weeks.
And maybe multiple times a year. And so
Right.
there was a couple of things that got cut. There was quite
Yeah.
a bit of things that got cut. But one of the things that got cut was just there were 7 feasts that God commanded his people to do.
Mhm.
7 of them, which I think that tells us something about God, by the way. And again, this would have been a little sidebar moment I would have loved to have had, but I just didn't have time. Think about what it speaks about the character of your God, that he says, no, 7 times a year, I want you to do a big timeout on your life and just have this week-long celebration, this week-long feast where you're not working. That was part of it for 7 weeks.
Yeah.
You were setting aside your life for the sake of worship and celebration and community. Like, there's something about the character of God that he wants our life to be full of joy and celebration and community and reminding and worship. 7 weeks.
But 3 of them were to be
Yes.
in Jerusalem.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so 3 of them you couldn't do at your house. You had to travel. And so likelihood if they're making that trek maybe 3 times a year. Again, by the time that was the original expectation. By the time you got to the 1st century, it seems as if most faithful Jews were only doing one because of what's called the diaspora. It's where the Jewish people had been dispersed. And so it was just really hard to get them all back into Jerusalem. So you didn't always have everybody do all 3.
Usually Passover was the big one.
But Passover was the big
Okay, the other one was what we know as Pentecost,
Yeah.
which is the festival of the weeks, right? It's the harvest one. It's Pentecost. We had a whole conversation.
Tabernacles.
The tabernacles. But again, that's why there's so many people in Jerusalem when Pentecost happens for the first church. Like, we renamed it in our context because we know it as Pentecost and the Holy Spirit fall. But so many people are there because that's what you did.
There was
Yeah.
another
And-
big feast.
And so many people are there who have different languages because all of these Jews, to Jason's point, have been spread out all over the entire region. And so they're in different places. So again, because people go, well, how are those people there? Well, it makes sense. That's the context, right? Like and so the early church then kind of established those same kind of rhythms and celebrations around, the Advent and Jubilee and all of this stuff that you kind of have. Then you have that period where you just kind of there is nothing on the whole kind of the holy church calendar. But again, it was normal. That's how they didn't really date stuff by those things. They dated it by these events that they would go, oh yeah, hey, the Passover's coming. And when you read the Old Testament, it's unique because it kind of tells you at what seasons and when it is, at the first harvest or whatever, because that's how they marked these annual pilgrimages or whatever that they would do. So
and that's how we break down Jesus' ministry in 3 years is because there's for sure 2 distinct Passovers that we have. And there's one in the middle that's kind of, we're assuming is there. It's not as direct, but the assumption is there's 3 Passovers that Jesus participated in, which marked the 3 years of his ministry.
Yeah.
But so just talking about that, just the character of God just being in that moment of celebration, 7 of them, and then 3 of them being there in Jerusalem. Again, it's just really cool to think about how important those coming together in these grand celebratory ways, the way that it marked not just Jesus and not just his family, but the whole community.
Yeah. And the thing that got me thinking too, looking at the map, like I wonder if it even, the people further away from Jerusalem probably left, a week earlier.
Yeah.
And as they got into Nazareth, like that group then got up and
you're picking up steam as you're getting closer. Yeah.
So just even thinking of like, the community of Nazareth would have been together, but they probably would have been in a huge, train of
there's
these people.
A bunch of towns in Galilee,
Yeah.
and they're probably all merging. There's one highway, and that's probably true.
So that would have been really cool,
And then to
go back and
to
look.
the point that Jason brought out, right, is the Psalms of Ascent that started in 120.
Yep.
But
I swear I said that.
I said 20 a couple of times. I was like, people are going back, probably going 20. So it's right. It's unique because it's right after 119, which is the longest chapter, really long.
Yeah.
It's the longest Psalm, obviously, in all of the Bible. But it starts at 120. Again, to your point, they just would have been saying this. Again, most of it's not that they couldn't read, but a lot of it was just not everybody had access to the Torah. But so they just recited all of these things and memorized these things. Mm-hmm. And this was one of them. There's their corporate worship. And so they're just singing these songs. And so when you look at the meanings of those Psalms, it's really just super interesting. All of the ideas around them. Eugene Peterson has a great book. It's A Long Obedience in the Same Direction is the name. And he just goes through the Psalms of Ascent. So if you're curious and want to study through, that's a great resource to pick up with it. But again, it's just this idea of obedience that every year they picked up and they traveled this direction because they were called to be obedient.
Yeah.
And they just walked the long, slow road up the mountain to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of faith that he's trying to tag in. It is just this Jason's ending point, just normal, faithful, ordinary people doing the thing that they're just called to do, and it changes the world, right? It changes their kid, and it still is the same thing, to your point, that changes us. And so it's a great resource to read with those. Those Psalms are really rich in their meaning, and he does a great job of trying to blend our just normal, everyday, ordinary faith. And so I love that resource. So if you haven't read it and you're looking for a new resource to read, it's a good one to go with it.
Sweet. We'll add that into the footnotes.
And I'm a detailed geek, and the geography piece I always want to throw it in. I always try to figure out how to throw it in. And even in the language, we saw it twice. The scriptures always point to it about going up to Jerusalem. And then it said down to Nazareth, like in both of those, even though directionally it's the opposite. And so I'm always looking to try to figure out how to throw that in there, because I just think it's so compelling that the way that they viewed Jerusalem was the pinnacle. It was the spiritual and geographical. It was just higher, more elevated. It's almost aspirational to be in Jerusalem. And again, you get to see it on a map. And again, I brushed by it quickly. I had a whole nother section in there. I was going to explain it. Like from Galilee, again, Jerusalem was about 2,500 feet of elevation. From Galilee, you have to go up about 1,500 feet to get to Jerusalem. You think about to the west of Jerusalem is this Mediterranean Sea. So you're going from sea level up 2,500 feet. To the east, you're going down into the Jordan Valley, which is actually below sea level. So to go from Jericho up to Jerusalem is about 3,400 feet. So you're going from below sea level, where the Dead Sea is, all the way up. I mean, it's really cool. I geek out over that kind of stuff. Josh rolls his eyes at me every time it comes up in sermon planning.
That's great. It's awesome. I love it.
I just geek out over that stuff. I think it's
awesome. Amazing. I love it.
So, Josh, what else stuck out to you from Sunday?
Yeah, again, when we did sermon planning, the first thing I came in and said, I reread them, the text, and it was just every year Jesus' parents did this.
Yeah.
And I went, every year. Just that, again, and then it's great, Jason's kind of line at the end, is it convenient? Is that just faith convenient for you, or is it consistent? Like, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Is it just consistent? And faith is actually, it's inconvenient. It just
Sometimes.
I would say it probably should be, right? Because it does push against all of the things of the world and all of there are sacrifices that we should be making because of our faith, right? So there is some inconvenience to this. And again, right, we like now, because I work on Sundays, this is a little bit different. But again, all of our family vacations are usually navigated around Sundays.
Yeah.
Like in the priority we place on coming to worship as the body of believers. And so, with the rest of the world, we'll call that an inconvenience, that we can't do certain things. And we say that, no, this is what it means to practice our faith consistently. Like, this is the part of who we are.
Would you use your 2 weeks of vacation just to go worship, because that's what you're called to do?
Yeah.
Right. No, that's
what they did.
Yeah.
Not that they had 2 weeks
2 weeks,
vacation,
yeah.
but
They
leveraged 2 weeks out of every year just for this one thing. Like, and there's other fasts and feasts and other celebrations that they're doing all year long.
And it's almost as if God knew that his people would forget these things and have to be reminded.
Oh, yeah. You need to go kill the lamb again.
Interesting.
You need to do that one more
Be
time.
reminded again. Because again, we do by nature. That's why we come together and we celebrate and we take communion, because we just need to be reminded again of what Jesus, because by nature we just forget.
Yeah.
We just, as people, that's just our nature. We forget. And so anyway, so that was great. Obviously the personal story piece of losing a kid impacts everybody. If you have kids, you have that moment, as a student pastor, we talked to Jason and I talked about always a fear of like, did I leave a kid? Is everybody on the bus? You got 2 charter buses of 100 kids. And you're like, I hope they got back on there.
I hope they're on that other bus.
I hope they're on that. They moved buses on me. We'll find out when we get there.
Yep.
Cell phones make it a lot easier in that respect. But back in the late 1900s, we didn't have cell phones. You're just banking on the fact that the kid did the right thing.
You kind of like take and roll, you're checking it off, and there's always those kids you got to be a little worried about. Smoking in the bathroom or something. But anyway, so that obviously that was great. But again, also too, just the great add-in around. Oh yeah, Luke talked to Mary, because for sure this is a story that somebody would remember, and just a really important note of like, this is it. We don't have anything else.
Yeah.
There's no life of Jesus in between, because I think the line that he ends with is what Jesus' life growing up with. They went to Nazareth and Jesus was obedient to his parents.
Yeah.
I think that's all we need to know about Jesus' life, because again, it's not actually probably extraordinary. I think that's just what they all did.
Yeah.
And that's it. Jesus had a normal childhood and grew up as a normal Jewish man and was obedient to his parents, and he read the law, and he had obviously a clearer understanding than most, but I think he just did the things. And that's it. And it is almost as if that's the point of it. It's just a normal man, and the humanity of Jesus shows more in that, I think. And we, kind of lose sight of that.
Now, there are some crazy apocryphal stories out there about Jesus' childhood. If you want to just understand the difference between actual scripture, canonized scripture, and apocryphal stories, you can go read those, and it doesn't take long to figure out, oh, this is wackadoodle. Like, it doesn't even sound realistic, but one's like Jesus is playing with some dirt and clay and models together a bird and gets in trouble for it, and somebody comes by and tries to kick his bird or step on the bird and break it, and Jesus makes the clay bird come to life and fly away.
He's not a Harry Potter.
I'm telling you, that's the story.
Yeah.
There's another one where
and again, that is because people want they can't just be okay with the humanity of Jesus.
Right.
They have to make the divine piece fit.
Yeah. And there's one with
Yeah.
something like, I'm going to butcher this. Somebody will Google it up and figure it out. But
They won't Google those, just do chat. That's fine.
there's something about Jesus getting bullied or playing with a kid, or a kid bumps him and he kills the kid. He just strikes him down and then maybe gets in trouble for it and brings him back to life or something. It's something crazy in that realm.
Which is nuts because
is.
the temptation narratives that we'll get to, Jesus actually doesn't misuse his power.
Yeah.
Right. Intentionally.
Yep.
He doesn't do that
That's right.
because it's not his plan. So that's crazy that they would. Yeah. That's, well, not surprising that people would. Again, I do think there is something just to the line. He left and was obedient.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough. And he grew in wisdom and favor and stature with the Lord. If that's said about your life, that's enough. That's enough. For us as people, we want to over spiritualize some of the things that I'm sure that's why they do these stories, and I just don't think you need to. So, and I love that we got to teach this again. I'm sure not a lot of passages people have probably had sermons on.
Yeah.
No, that's one of the
You're
things I was
skipping
going to
them.
say today. I've never preached on this text ever. I'd never preached on Jesus at the temple.
Yeah, the cool part, we connected, or Jason connected the dots for our sermon planning group around the Annas and Caiaphas is actually mentioned too in Luke's gospel. I mean, one of the things Jason,
it'll actually be mentioned
Yeah,
this coming week.
and one of the
chapter
things that Jason doesn't say is really interesting is, or he just asked, or he pointed out. He didn't say it on Sunday, but he said it in our sermon planning group. Is so this time Jesus is answering their questions. The next time Jesus is standing in front of them, they are like, answer my questions, and Jesus refuses
Yeah.
to. He actually now this time won't answer their questions. So it is just a very interesting turn 21 years later. Like they're all amazed at him because he answers, and they're about to be furious at
Yeah.
him because he just won't answer because he said all he needs to say at that point. They've made their decision, and Jesus knows what's to come. So
Yeah.
it was just a really cool thing to kind of sit with, So, and again, I'm sure time was just the reality, but I'm glad you got to talk about that. Again, I don't know if everybody was like, oh, that's so cool, but hopefully people were like, oh,
Yeah.
that was really cool. So,
Yeah. So, Jason, is there anything else you would have added? We've mentioned a little bit of it, but is there anything else time-wise you would have wanted to dig into?
No, those were a couple of the big things that I kind of had sketched in there that ended
Yeah.
up getting cut.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we had talked about when we just kind of prepped the sermon. One thing we talked about was 3 days Jesus just hanging out.
Yeah,
What's he doing?
right.
That's what we talked about. He's
Yeah.
so I have a 12-year-old. Jason has, a 14-year-old. And so we were just like, all of us in our sermon planning have a kid about that age
Yeah.
or that age. And I'm like, I don't know if they'd have made it. There's a couple. I have one I think would have,
Yeah.
for sure. My 8-year-old, I think he'd have made it. I think he can make it. There's the other ones, I don't know. But you're just thinking like your kid's complex, like right now, right? Like what is he doing for 3 days? And again, life was much more communal based, so probably
Right.
people knew, and people may not even have thought it was weird.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it is just our.
They
culture.
stayed somewhere. They had hospitality, some sort of family connection or communal connection in Jerusalem where the family was staying while they were at the feast.
Yeah,
Jesus he probably just went back there at dark.
Yep.
It just
hung
wasn't
out.
weird.
And they were just like, oh,
it went to bed.
Eventually your
but
family will come back.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just woke up and went to. And again, the point of like the transition of boy to man, all those things. But we thought about that. Our own kids, like 3 days, could they make it?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But here we are just 10 minutes ago talking about our own jumping on a bike at 12
I
years
would've
old.
made
You
it.
are
Yeah.
you were biking around Chandler,
I would 100% made
hustling with your
it. Kool-Aid package, bro.
Kool-Aid Coke,
Yeah.
doing the thing,
100% would
and
have made it.
getting your Taco Bell.
100% would have made. We talked about that because I've worked a lot of times with kids who are grow up in what we would define as the hood, right?
Yep.
100% making it.
Yep.
No questions asked. Like They're making it.
Yeah.
They're going to survive. Right. And those are the good qualities of stuff. And so I'm like, all right. I went on Wednesday. I was like, all right, how do I toughen my kids up? Put you out in the wilderness and just,
Drink from the hose.
Like on The Office, the episode that Michael is dropped off, but Dwight is like watching the whole time.
Yep.
Survivor Man.
Yep.
I'm like, could my kid? But so we talked about that Wednesday. Just that thought of, hey, what did he do for 3 whole days? And interesting enough, we don't have it because Mary I may not have known either.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And Luke didn't talk to Jesus. And so we don't have that piece of the story. But it is interesting just to think of those of you with kids or who have raised kids with your 12-year-old naked for 3 days in what would have been a really big city for
sure. Compared to
folk.
Nazareth. Absolutely. Yeah. It's the Chino Valley kid
in
going
Phoenix
down to Peoria.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's Survivor.
Yeah.
That Chino would make it.
The
I have faith in
Kingman kid going
There
to
you go.
Vegas.
Oh,
that would have
God.
been mind blowing for that Kingman kid. Every time we go see Sarah's family in Vegas, I'm always like, oh my gosh, this place is just so bright and people everywhere. So
The lights, they never turn
yeah.
off. Well, we stayed there a couple years ago. And boys were like, it's always bright. And I was
Yep.
like, no, it's intentional.
Yeah.
They want you to always think it's daytime
Yeah. So,
and never to sleep. They are, yeah. But it was cool, man. Great sermon. I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun time and to the points were helpful for people to put some rails on.
Yeah.
What the heck do I do with this story? If Jesus says it, to your point, you said one of your things was, this is not a story about how exceptional Jesus is.
No.
I don't think we should walk away with that.
yeah.
So
Again, I think it does help us to understand that what we see in Jesus as an adult, we see in him as a kid.
Mm.
He was about his father's business. He wanted to be in his father's presence. He wasn't abusing his power. He was just an ordinary,
right.
faithful,
Good.
obedient, trying to do the things that God called him to do. Love the Lord, love the word, and wanted to grow. And so that's who he was at the beginning when he is in this transition where faith is now his. You know, that's that line of demarcation between 12 and 13. Now you are accountable to uphold the law yourself. You have to obey this stuff. It's not just your parents doing it.
Yeah.
This is now yours. And so we see that from the beginning. So that's what Jesus is, or that's what Luke, I think, is trying to help us to see.
Yeah. So good. Awesome. Well, we have a question from Dan, and he says, love the sermon, especially seeing how Joseph and Mary were intentional practicing their faith with Jesus and discipling him as a child. My question is, how is Quad City disciplining parents to disciple their kids at home instead of just outsourcing it to kids ministry on a Sunday?
Wait a minute, say that again. They're not disciplining.
I don't think we're disciplining them to
Wait a minute.
disciple. I think they're discipling their...
Discipling. Yep. Sorry.
We're
is
going to
Quad City
spank
discipling?
people in the lobby for not discipling their kids. That might be a good idea.
Actually,
It might
that may be what we need to
It
do.
probably should.
You get a
Yeah.
whooping. You
Yeah.
get a whooping. We're handing whoopings out everywhere.
I'm afraid I would get one, though. That's the problem.
Nana.
Nana
getting
comes
a
in.
whooping.
We're letting Nana give them out too. I bet Nana gave you a lot of.
Nana did get me some whoopings. Yes, I got the. Okay, now you're going back in the way. I better stop.
Yeah. All right.
So how is Quad City discipling parents to disciple their kids at home instead of just outsourcing it to kids ministry on a Sunday?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me just answer the kids ministry. So, one of the things that we've kind of talked about on a Sunday morning, or just internally with our staff, is, what our kids ministry is able to do is to kind of help our kids know, love, and obey Jesus. Like that's what they can do in the time in which they have. Most kids, if they're here 2 out of 4 Sundays, and that's half of the year. Students is the same way,
Yeah.
So again, there was this push around we're our goal as a kids ministry is to help disciple parents so they can disciple their kids. It's really actually a hard thing to do, because parents have to be engaged where I am spiritually and where you are. Like it's just all over the map. So what we can do is we can help kids to know Jesus and love Jesus and obey Jesus. We can teach those kind of things. And so trying to simplify in that, one of the things this year is just trying to help just create even just a biblical foundation to help give kids building blocks, whether that kid has parents who are actively following Jesus or are not following Jesus.
Yeah.
Parents who talk about faith at home or don't talk about faith at home, right? So on the kids side is I actually think we are trying to say we can't necessarily disciple kids here. We can support and we can add value, but if this is it, there are some kids that it may just be it.
Yeah.
We can set a foundation. Eventually, though, that kid is going to need. That was me, right? Like I kind of went to faith, church on my own, and the church was a huge thing. But I've had to add in, right? Again, I'm in Bible college reading Old Testament stories. Like, what in the world? That's in the Bible? That's crazy. I didn't know that was in there because I didn't grow up in that, right? I didn't have that knowledge. I've had to add that in. So again, I don't think the church can disciple kids. It is a mandate on parents. So I would say at Quad City, we're trying to actually move away from that idea that, hey, if you just drop your kid off, parents, on a Sunday morning, well, that can't count.
Yeah.
It actually is, and I don't think it's the church's responsibility. And that's not what you said Sunday, right?
Yeah.
It's actually biblically, it feels like it's my obligation. So what are some of the things, Jason, that we are then doing for the adults? Like, what would that look like?
Yeah. So I think what prompted this conversation, the reason we're even having this question asked, is because we tried to do it on Sunday. Like it was looking at a text like this and shining a spotlight on this parental-child relationship and using that as an opportunity to say, hey, this is what it looks like. This is what we should be doing. This is me as the pastor trying to disciple parents to disciple their kids, is just using the word of God to say, look, this is what it looks like to be faithful parents for the sake of our kids. That was the whole third point. You have to do this with your children. Like, this is your job. God has called you to this. He created marriage for the sake of
what is
producing godly offspring.
So what is that verse?
It's in Malachi chapter 3. Nate, maybe help me out there if you can Google that up for me. But I think it's Malachi chapter 3, where he says, it literally says, why did God want to have people get married? To produce godly offspring. Malachi 2:15. Has not the Lord made you one? You belong to him in body and spirit. And what does God seek? Godly offspring. So be on your guard and do not be unfaithful to the wife of your youth. So again, it's that imagery of the reason God put a man and a woman together from the beginning is to produce godly offspring. That was his whole purpose for marriage. And so that's our responsibility.
And so, so it sounds less, again, one of the, just trying to answer the question that Dan asked, right? It is less programmatic.
Yeah.
Like that's what's really difficult. Like there are some things that we can do as parents, for sure, 100%. But even I know my own kids, it's just really different, the conversations we have about faith. Yeah. Number one, where they're all at is one of those. But two, just my kid is really different. Yeah. And the things that one of my kids struggles with, just naturally the other one may not struggle with. And the lessons that I need them to, like we have some core things that we all need to learn, but then it is really dependent. And so it's hard to programmatically say, these are the 12 things you need to do with your kids. Now I would say our kids ministry, that they started last year, the first one, and the hope is the goal is this year we're going to do more kind of parenting for the kingdom, just conversations around issues that are things parents need to navigate. So the first one we did was technology. Like, what does it look like to parent in the 21st century as a believer? Okay. The next one, I think, is going to be around sex, sexuality, all those things. Those are the other conversations. You got to be talking about that as parents. And God's word talks about it, so we have to talk about it. And so,
especially with your 12, 13, 14-year-old.
Especially with your 12, 13, 14-year-old, right? And so again, how do we just get in the room to go, oh, Jason's ahead of me because he's got a 19-year-old and it's a boy. Well, what was he doing?
Yeah.
As you're starting to navigate teenage years, what did that look like? What were those conversations like? How did you do those things? And again, how he probably does it with Levi is going to be different how he does with Eli.
100%.
Like they're just very different conversations. And
different kids, yep.
Different kids. And so again, I wish we could just set a program up, but it's not necessarily like that. But I will say there's a really cool resource for dads, and I actually gave it to most of the dads on staff here. Just as an opportunity. It's really for your kids when they kind of hit into the 12, 13-year-old range. So John Tyson actually has a ton of resources for this. So he's a Australian author and pastor in New York. Really good dude. When you listen to his podcast and stuff, it's always really cool. It's always really cool because he has a cool accent. But he has a book. It's called The Intentional Father. A practical guide to raise sons of courage and character. And the coolest thing he does, this is the coolest part of it, is he says the most influential or most important thing you can do is to be in the journey with other people who are raising kids at that age. It's almost like you said that as point two.
What?
Discipleship, again, you need other dudes to sit around the table with to go, what are you doing with your daggone 12-year-old?
Yeah.
Because mine, I'm about to kick him out of the home. Or, wait, what have you seen that's worked and has been effective? So he gives you some really cool, and there's some video, it's really awesome. And he works backwards. So he goes, hey, he starts the whole book off with the premise, your son you're taking him to college. What do you hope that he knows?
Yeah.
So how do you reverse engineer it to get there?
Yeah.
Right. And again, he just talks about you got to start having conversations with them and talk about these things. But that's the idea is like and I've always kind of lived with that mindset that the clock is ticking, and it's even more real. Man, my kid is 6 years, man. He's seventh grade. Like the clock is ticking. I want him to be able to go and be successful and to be a man of God but the biggest thing, he's like, I just needed to figure a way to get others. So there's a ton of resources he has for dads to, and I think that we didn't say that Sunday. And so I want to say that to the dads listening, dude, you got to carry the weight in this.
Yeah.
Dads. Like my wife, she comes alongside, and again, she's in the home and they need to see her practicing her spiritual faith. But dads, if they don't see you engaged, and if they see Sunday morning you're not engaged, and if you just sit there and you're not, like your boys, your daughter, they're not going to either. So we have as dads a massive responsibility to lead the way and show the way and have those conversations. We cannot farm this out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, wasn't said, so I'm going to say it out loud. It is on us.
Yeah.
That we're going to ask Jason, like, what did you do? What did you do? I gave you these 4. Your responsibility to produce godly offsprings. It's on you, right? And so we do carry a lot more weight and responsibility, I think.
Yeah, and you threw it in there, which was the biggest thing. The question that was asked was, what are we doing to disciple parents to disciple kids? At the end of the day, a discipleship group is probably the best thing that we do to help disciple parents to disciple kids.
Yeah.
I know in my group, a couple of the questions that we talk about on a regular basis, they get pulled out of the little baggie, is around, what are you doing to grow your own faith? But what are you also doing to share faith with your kids? What does the relationship with your kids look like? How are you raising your family? What's your relationship with your wife like? All of that stuff, as I grow as a disciple of Jesus, the fruit of that ought to be me pouring that into my kids. And so what we're doing to disciple parents to disciple kids is we're trying to disciple parents, and we're telling the parents that you have to disciple your kids. And again, at the end of the day, there is no one program that we can throw out there that's going to make this happen. But it's conversations just like we had on Sunday, where I'm standing up there and I'm discipling the parents to say, you have to be doing this consistently. You have to be doing this in community, and you have to be doing this in front of your kids. Like that the whole conversation, the reason we're having it, that was us acting this principle out of us discipling these parents to try to disciple their kids.
And then I would say, we've been talking about coming Sunday morning expectant, all right, for the Spirit of God to move and those kind of things. I would say another thing is come expectant. If you're bringing your kids, you're 12, like, no, sit with me.
Yep.
Let's participate together.
Yep.
Let's learn the rhythms of faith and practice and all of these things. Let's have these conversations.
Yeah.
Like you got to be engaged.
Yeah.
Like it can't be I'm just sitting there bah humbuggy.
Yeah.
Like I gotta be. My kids have got to see that because they've got to know. And again, I'm not trying to say like you fake it, but like.
Yeah.
You have to be participatory in this as well. Bring your Bible and open that thing.
What is the fear that, and what we've been told for the last 30 years is that when kids leave their home, they leave the faith. And part of it is because they never learned the disciplines of the faith with the family.
Right.
They went off to the youth group student thing. And then when they're in college, that environment goes away and now church isn't fun. And so I don't know what to do. And I go to the big church and it seems like all of that kind of stuff. We're trying to create those rhythms now that they can understand when they're 18, 19, 22, they know what it's like to go into worship in a room with a bunch of people of various ages and life stages and have a Bible in their lap and engage in the worship and participate in communion. These are the rhythms of our faith that have been passed down for 1,000 years, and for them to see you doing it in your own life and with your parents and with your kids, like this ought to be a multi-generational thing sitting in the row every week watching this happen.
Again, so let's even talk that the intentionality behind the way Jason teaches with the TV and he circles and he highlights and he underlines is to help people learn how to read their Bible. Again, it's just how he does it. Right? Again, if you just open his Bible, you'll see all the things that you see on a Sunday morning, and it's his desire to help us learn, right? And so the hope is again, you said not just learn how I practice faith, but we do. That is the cool part. We do get to see this. So I watch my little sons underline and highlight. They don't know what they're doing, but they're just underlining and highlighting things. And hopefully they begin to learn like, oh, wow, that word was in there 15 times. Wow, I wonder why that is. Oh, well, I should probably pay attention to that. To your point, the word up. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember, all those things. So there is some cool pieces that they get to learn in that and get to see that. And again, it may not stick yet.
Yeah.
The hope is though, when they're, to your point, 21, they go, oh, that's right. I know how to read my Bible.
Yeah.
I actually know how to study through and maybe ask some questions and think through some stuff. Maybe they frame in their mind, okay, so what does this mean?
Yeah.
I just read this text. What could God be saying to me? And maybe it's nothing, maybe it isn't that. So again, there are some really cool opportunities, but as parents, we hold that responsibility to come and to actually that this is a time where we get to use it to help our kids see.
Yeah.
And it's really, really important and really, really a big thing. And so, excited. One of the, shifts we made as a team is just being, as staff, as being in the room, in the seats. And so it's allowed me to be with our family a little bit more and to be more intentional in that and to do those things and to, sit in there and just tell my kid to like pay attention, like sit up, like do this thing, like listen, dude, and I
love it. I love seeing the younger kids with their families.
Yeah.
I love Eli was sitting by my wife at the 11 o'clock service, and his little face is just kind of sheepish as I'm telling this story.
Poor guy. Poor guy. Jason doesn't do that a lot. So it's great, right? So that it's more meaningful, I think, when you do it because we don't get a lot of them. But I was like, this poor dude. Here it comes, bro.
He doesn't even know it's coming.
He doesn't even know it's coming. Here it is. Boom, But yeah, it is. Even if they're not doing it, there is something to just watching it and seeing it. And my boys have gotten to sit with other, like Gary, he sat with them before, and just seeing older men of faith.
Which I think that's another huge part of it too, is being in that community and having other guys speaking into your son's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that is huge. I know for me personally, not having a dad growing up,
100%, bro.
I had to find that in other guys that said, you know what, we're gonna take you under our wing and just show you how you're supposed to do this.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing. You're not going to find that just coming in on Sunday.
No.
Yep.
You know, you need that community around you. You need to have those guys that
Right.
are going to, if they see your son doing something, they're going to call him out and say like, hey,
100%.
we don't do that.
100%.
Like, so.
And too that, I actually, again, we talk about when we sing that I'm singing for others who can't maybe sing today, but maybe I'm also just modeling faith for other young men who've not seen it.
Yep.
Because that same way, I didn't see that growing up. I didn't see what it looked like to be a man of God, pursuing God and following God. And it was other men who showed me that.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe we don't ever have a conversation, but they just see the consistency
Yep.
of that man who shows up and sits there and serves and participates in the life of the body. And you go, it feels like I could do that.
Yeah.
That I could succeed in this, right? I could succeed to just kind of come and show up. And so, yeah, I think the 3 takeaways were great. I think everybody probably had maybe at least one. I had a couple people just mention the community piece was that is the part. And that is the one that we do just kind of isolate.
Yeah. And, as I was laying in my bed last night, I threw out 3 or 4 examples. And one of them is, what are you going to do when the hospital bed's in the living room? Like there is that moment. I've been in 2 of those in the last several months of the person is in their last days and they're in the bed in the living room. Like that's ultimately your whole life just becomes that. And your whole world is around that moment. And who do you have? Who's the community that's going to be there? And I've had these moments in 17 years where, people will be upset. They came to church a few times. They were loosely connected and they're like, well, where's the church in all of this? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You never built any community. You didn't show up. You didn't invest. You didn't invite anybody. You didn't, you're upset because somehow there's this just expectation that community is just going to it doesn't just happen. We got to create it. We got to give of ourselves. We got to engage with people. And so community doesn't just magically appear. Like it is something that we have to foster. And again, I think it's so important to remember we create it when we don't need it, so it's there when we do, because we're all gonna need it. And all of us can tell a dozen stories of people in our church who've had the unthinkable happen.
Yeah.
And they needed the people to show up. They needed people to surround them. And some of them had it because they had built it over years, and some of them didn't. And it crippled them.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. It's really sad. So building that community piece. Again, we're just hammering that drum again and again. You got to get in a group. You got to get face-to-face with people. You got to have people that know your life, know your story, know your sin. You got to have people who are praying those prayers. Like shaking hands on a Sunday morning in a lobby just isn't going to cut it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Good.
Awesome. Well, hope you guys have a good week and we'll see you guys Sunday.